Mike's Daily Podcast.
I haven't been in this part of Cafe Anyway in a while. It's Mike Matthews on a different microphone than usual. Is it better? Is it worse?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Well, I don't care. I'm going to just do my show on this song I'm singing to you today. Isn't a very interesting day. It's an election day in Georgia. When was the last time we cared about an election day in Georgia? I guess when we actually lived in Georgia. Did we live in Georgia? Georgia? No place I know.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's an old sweet song. Georgia's forever on my mind. It's episode 2180. My name is
Mike's,
and this is
Daily
Mike's Daily Podcast. I'm Mike Matthews.
Yeah!
Well, interesting day today. I have a couple things I just wanted to zip through. Don't want to make this an incredibly long show, but we did have an interesting show last time discussing music from the 80s that was in surveillance mode. That would be like Every Breath You Take was the number one song, and then I always feel like somebody's watching me. Another one that jumped out, Private Eyes by Hall & Oates. My private eyes watching you. And that's about all the singing I'm going to do on the show, I promise. I'll just stop right there. So I made some salmon the other night. And I put it on a plank, a cedar plank. And I'm thinking if I should make that the podcast picture today, but I probably won't. This was so good. This cedar plank, oh, wow. My lovely lady friend is very leery of food that's been undercooked. So we really overcooked the salmon. It was a bit rough. I like it a little bit more, like just as it starts to lose its rubberiness. That's where I like it. I don't know if that's the healthiest way to eat it, but she's really careful. Salmon.
And here's today's podcast picture.
And yes, salmon. So good. Let's see. I was going to play this. All right, I'll do that right now. Here we go.
Merry Christmas!
I didn't get a chance to say that to you 8 months ago. No, just a few weeks ago. Wow. Have you tried to push that out of your head? All the Merry Christmas trees, and they're starting to line the roads now. It's kind of sad and depressing. Aww. Oh, here's something my late great dog, Basil the Boxer, used to do. We'd walk past those. I'd never seen a dog do this before. He always would piddle on them when we walked past the Christmas tree, and I'm like, well, Basil, that's how you really feel about Christmas. Don't hold back now. The podcast picture today is of a tree that's illuminated interestingly. This was when I was up in the Richmond Heights area this past weekend. And you can see it at MikesDailyPodcast.com. That's the only picture I can find right now. And I'm not really feeling looking everywhere, upside, turning. Oh, and Google Photos, by the way, where I get all my photos from, because these are all pictures I've taken in the past. Really is gonna. I mean, I'm asking the question.
Why?
They're making all the stuff disappear that we used to use. All the pictures we snapped, it's gonna be like they're gonna take it away.
Say what?
Yeah. All those great pictures, they're gonna give you a limited amount of storage. And you won't be able to keep going unlimited with all the unlimited storage capacity that they have now. It's sad. I just loved pulling my podcast pictures off of those. Because before, I would have to go through all my pictures on my hard drive and upload them to some kind of thing like Dropbox.
That's terrible.
Yeah. And then eventually, I would get to the picture and put it on the podcast for Mike's Daily Podcast. But Google Photos made it easy because it was just always constantly uploading to Google Photos. And I guess Apple has its own version, but they're all going to try and make you pay now. So that's the way that is. Oh, and then I found out today that the car that I want to junk, my old Saturn, it's now, I can't find the Alabama title for it.
Really?
Yeah, I bought it in Alabama, and I can't find it anywhere. Oh, that's going to be a pain. Because whenever I've had to deal with Alabama as far as getting documents and whatnot, they put me through so much terror.
Sorry.
And you need a lawyer involved, and it's more complicated. And it's funny because you would think, like California, you can get a lot of documents pretty easily. In fact, the one I was trying to get was really easy in California, and in Alabama, I would need a lawyer to do the exact same thing. But in California, I didn't. I know I'm being all vague and stuff and just telling you stuff in general, but what's going on with that Georgia election as of this moment? The Senate runoff? I won't find out forever because I typed in Georgie. Rob Mills pays tribute to ABC star girlfriend Georgie Tunney. Well, I don't know who that is, but perhaps you do. Let's see. Right now, majority of Georgia voters say presidential election was conducted fairly. Well, that's interesting. It's too close to call at this point. So, and plus my... yeah, it just crashed. My computer just crashed.
That really got out of hand fast.
So I can't look anymore at the election. You'll know what it is by the time you listen to this anyway. As we go outside of Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth, just trying to bring you a show. Hey, you know what? Here's an interesting thing that happened to me today. So as you know, I have been going through the very difficult time when I lost my dog last year, and a lot of people have asked me, hey, when are you going to get a new dog? When are you going to get a new dog? And I keep telling them, you don't know what I went through. I don't want to have a new dog, not for a long time. Not after what I've been through. It was tough. It was 85 pounds of pure love and joy, this wonderful canine that I had. And I took care of him right to the very end. And you know, I am worn out. I can't do it. I need at least like a year off. Somebody asked me today if I could take their dog. That's just like a sword right through my heart. You can't ask me that. Because you know every fiber of my being would want to say yes, but I can't. In order to preserve my sanity, I can't. I thought I'd ask. You know, that's too much. Too much to ask me. And honestly, people should know better. They really should. Just saying that right there. Some real talk for you. We were talking about the real world last show and the reality TV shows on MTV. Well, I had a good time on today's podcast. Just getting through. Last podcast was called Ridiculous. I think this one should also be called that, but we'll go with salmon. Salmon's so healthy for you. So good for you. You could probably throw that in your diet if you aren't... Well, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, you probably can't, but... If you're on a keto diet, which form of nutrient are you avoiding? Carbohydrates, fats, or proteins? I think it's carbohydrates. Yes. Ketogenic diets. I've never been on that diet, but it reminds me a lot of the... Oh, what do they call that? I always forget it. Not the Pavlov diet. The paleo diet. There we go. Ketogenic diets involve avoiding carbohydrates in order to induce ketosis, a metabolic state where the body burns fats instead of carbs. Clinicians encourage caution in adopting such diets for weight loss purposes. Yes, clinicians encourage caution with that. So, and it's a high-fat diet. That's bizarre to me. You should try to have as little healthy diets like the salmon has. That's the way I look at it. I'm not an Adonis, so I have no room to talk, but dang. Hey, I wanted to talk about how people in the workplace that are very, what's the word? Lazy. Are they A, big, B, small, C, thin? You can answer that yourself. Not that I'm leaning towards any one of those, but this is sort of the thing. Now, it depends, because I would tell you that in the workplace, sometimes you work at a job where you do a lot of sitting, like a security guard. You know, they have to sit. Although, no, actually, there's a lot of walking involved. Depends on the place they're protecting. And it depends on what type of worker they are. At any rate, questions for you that you've discovered in your workplace setting. I'd be interested to find out. You can call me 336-MM Daily, 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM is a Mike Matthews, Daily is what this podcast is. And by small, do I mean like miniaturized? Like you've been shrunk by a shrunk ray and you're the size of a small candle? Maybe. After all, it is Christmas time.
Merry Christmas!
Oh, wait, it's not anymore. That's terrible.
That's terrible.
Okay. Look who's outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. Hi, Mac. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing?
That's a disgruntled fiddle player. Tell you what.
What?
How dare you talk about large people like that?
But if you get offended, that's the way the cookie crumbles. No.
All right, I take it back. I'll blow it up, what I said. There. It's gone. I blew it up into smithereens.
Awesome.
Look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. Have some right now.
Excellent. I don't know what language that was, but we will have some root beer. Thank you. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. Enjoy the outcome of your Georgia election, however way you were leaning. I hope you're happy. Yeah, with politics, is anyone happy? Unless you're the politician that just won and...
I won!
Gets to live in a nice, big, white house.
I won.
It literally is a white house. Isn't that odd? Dun, 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 dun. Take it away, Ari Brain.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!